Welcome back to the Coruscant Nights podcast. Thank you for joining us. I'm Cooper. My co-host is Jack. We're very excited because we are 1 week out from the release of The Acolyte.
Yep.
Our first Star Wars show set outside of the Skywalker Saga timeline and set 100 years before The Phantom Menace. Very exciting. Before we get into our discussion, just a reminder that we are on social media at Coruscant Nights. A massive, massive thank you to our 5 patrons, Ben, Keita, Sebi, Caleb, and John. You're all appreciated. We've been putting some sneak peeks of some upcoming projects on there. If you want to go join them and become a patron of ours, you can use this QR code on the screen now, or the link will be in the description. In the last podcast, we said we wanted to get to 300 subscribers. Yep. We have well and truly passed that. Thank you for your support in the recent videos. We do appreciate that. Our next goal is 500. 500. We want to get there. Help us get there by clicking that subscribe button. That would be greatly appreciated. Yep. Okay, let's get into The Acolyte.
Okay. So to start things off, I would like to mention that I think in terms of hypeability, I think you are a lot more excited for this than I am.
Yep.
So during your reactions and our breakdowns throughout when they're coming out, I think that's the right mindset to go into it. Because then considering where we go from there is kind of good judgment from standing here we are now. So he's a lot more excited for this and I'm a lot more hesitant for this. So I think that's currently where we are. What's different with this show compared to the others is that obviously it's set way before Phantom Menace. So this is the first time we're getting anything in before Phantom Menace in terms of shows, media, like movies and stuff. So this is a lot harder to predict on what might actually happen, since we don't know really what they're following. It could be, they could have got stuff from Legends, they could have got stuff from books, they could have got stuff from even the Old Republic games. We have no idea at all, to be honest, aside from what the trailers are telling us. I would like to think that from the major recent trailer with that weird smiley mask dude, I am not sure if they're going to go the route of, they're going to trick us again into thinking it's I don't know, like a male figure or something like that, and it's just going to be someone else within the show, as I would like to predict that it could be that evil twin Acolyte girl who says in the recent, like a 1 minute short thing, like, it's not me you're looking for, or whatever. So I'm like, I hope they don't go with that route, because that's like such a trope where it's like, oh no, there's someone that looks like, or someone's trying to frame me, like the Barriss and Ahsoka kind of business again. So I don't know if that's going to be the way that they're going for this. However, I am kind of really getting more and more hyped for the main character. What's his name again?
Master Soul.
Master Soul. They're showing a lot of Master Soul in these featurette type of things and everything. And every cast member and stuff is saying how good he is in this role. And to be fair, we have seen him be a lot more charismatic already in the trailers, where he's excited, scared, and a bit fearful, but then also looks to be very powerful. So I'm like, he's showing a range of emotion already within just a trailer, so it'll be interesting to see that. From our little clips of certain scenes, the fight choreography seems to be really good. So this is actually getting me quite more excited about, rather than the plot stuff and I'm a bit more hesitant around the plot. But the fight scenes itself looks like they've got a major inspiration from Kung Fu kind of type. Yeah. A lot more martial arts orientated, rather than just, because in the prequels, all we really got was like kicks. Like a lot of kicks and maybe some flips every now and then, but nothing like someone holding their foot up and then flipping them, or like kind of block type things. So that's going to be interesting. I wonder if they're going to do a lot of one takes. They did say that they're trying to top the Darth Maul fight in Phantom Menace. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
They said
That's crazy.
They said that they wish to top they thought the greatest fight in the whole franchise is the Darth Maul one, by the way. That's fair. Not the Anakin and Obi-Wan, which is...
I don't disagree with that statement.
I think... Yeah, it's pretty good. The Darth Maul fight scene is obviously one of the best, but they're pretty bold for saying that coming out before it even come out, like the show's out. That's what they're trying to aim for in this show, that there is a fight scene apparently that rivals Darth Maul and them. Is that going to be the Forest one, or is that going to be something else we haven't seen completely?
Damn, that's got me so excited now. I didn't know that.
I have no idea. Also, I'd like to mention, you're going to probably talk about this too. How cool is that ship shot that they keep showing?
Yeah,
the one within the
asteroid field.
It's so cool. Like, the CGI looks pretty crisp as of right now. However, we also know that shows and movies will not show their worst CGI in the trailers, because then people are going to rag on them. So... Who knows? I'm very skeptical, and I know Cooper's going to talk about this, about the reviews, the early screening and stuff. I just want to get this out the way before Cooper goes in depth about it. I am so hesitant for it because we all know what happened last time when there was a massive new Star Wars project and it had undoubtedly high critic reviews with The Last Jedi. And oh lordy, how was the backlash of the fans? And no, I wouldn't say all the fans because some fans like it, obviously. A lot of general audiences, let's just say, most of the population seem to disagree with that. So I am still very skeptical. I know Disney like to pay off critics and stuff because they want to promote their shows and movies, which is fair enough. Every company does that. They kind of need to do that for good press. But if they don't, then sometimes it gets dragged down in the media beforehand. And the trailer's already shown that people are just disliking it before even watching it.
Yeah.
So if they had bad reviews too, then wow, that would have been... That would have
been a main
nail in the
concern,
coffin already, basically. So that's just my brief thoughts going into it, and Cooper will now continue.
So you kind of already touched on the point, but I just want to say every single scene, the more I see of this show, the more excited I get for it.
That's true.
I remember when we were sitting there watching the first release trailer
right
for
here,
it,
actually, too.
and I saw it, I'm like, okay, it looks cool, but this is not what I thought it was going to look like. I thought it was going to be a bit different. Then we got that second trailer and it kind of clarified what the sort of look would be for the Acolyte. And now we're just getting clips and different fight scenes. And we saw the special preview
after Revenge
in Revenge of the Sith screening, and that was really cool. So we are getting little teasers of what this world looks like, and I'm just more and more excited every time. Like you were saying before, that ship shot,
the ship shot,
just beautiful. It's so cool, and I'm just so excited to see that. So yeah, the more I see of this, the more excited I get. I'm so excited that we're only a week away. But onto the reviews. So the reviews from the press, I'm so glad that they've been positive so far. I kind of figured they would be, just because, I don't know, I had the feeling going in that this was a project that everyone working on it really cared about. I know there had been controversies and backlash during the production and after the kind of the crew was released, but I just really thought that it was going to be a high quality show just based off of what I had heard from the cast and from the showrunner. So to see that the reviews are good, that they're praising the story, the world building, and the acting, that's really important. And the fight scenes and the choreography, like you were saying about the duel for Darth Maul and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, to be doing choreography that rivals that's very impressive. But I also have no idea how/where that's going to fit in this series, because I'm just thinking back through the trailer, and besides that fight in the forest fight, I can't. Well, we don't know anything else. It's not going to be that Master Indara fighting May on that planet.
I do hope that what we've seen in the trailer is similar to the other ones. Is very first 3, 4, if that. At a show with this many episodes, it needs to be the first 3 to 4. No more than that.
Correct.
Meaning that we have at least 3-4 episodes of just content we haven't seen.
If you think about it, here's what we've seen in the trailer so far. We've seen Coruscant and the Jedi Temple. We've seen the forest planet. We've seen the snow planet, and we've seen the village planet that May goes and fights Indara on. I might be missing a few more, but that's only 4. And if they're crediting the world building in the first 2/4 episodes,
that could just be all them.
It could be all them, but I expect that we're going to get more. Here's another thing that I'm kind of interested about. So obviously we've got our main villain / character as the Acolyte, and we've also got this Sith.
Or dark side user.
Because
a lot of people are getting... Yeah, because I was one of them. They're like, oh, Sith, how is that happening with the 1,000? This is another thing to mention, actually. It could just generally be a dark side user. Because technically Kylo Ren was never a Sith. He wasn't a Sith.
But I don't like that. I don't like that.
But the Sith religion was basically gone after Palpatine and everything. So this could be just a person like Balin's skull in that sense, where he or she or whatever they are doesn't really agree with the old rituals of the Jedi and the Sith, and is a bit more on the fence. And that's why technically the Sith haven't returned yet, according to the line that Ki-Adi-Mundi says in Phantom Menace. So it's like, it could be interesting to see if it's a Sith or it's a dark side.
It will be interesting. In one of the trailer shots, the helmet is taken off, so we will find out who is under that mask. I have a feeling it's going to be a new character, like a new villain, rather than, or I say villain, rather than someone that we know from history. I know there was talk about Leslie Headland kind of toying with the idea of using Darth Bane, which would be very cool to see.
But he doesn't wear that.
he doesn't. I agree. But anyway, but I'm quite interested to see if they introduce the Nile into this series because they're the main villains of the novels, and obviously the novels were set quite a bit before this series,
So
and we
that could be
don't know
Yeah.
what their fate is yet. But I feel like it would be very interesting to see them pop up because they are a very interesting band of villains.
That isn't just your typical, empire or something.
And it's also the story beats as well. You've got path engines. They can
Mm-hmm.
traverse different hyperspace lanes. That's such a cool concept. And
Where
that's
did all
what
this go?
really, really brought together the community for the High Republic praise because it just took this really interesting time period of the dominance of the Jedi and pitted them against a non-Sith villain who uses unorthodox ways to overtake the galaxy. So I don't think we're going to get any sort of similar beats. It's a murder mystery series, which I think is okay.
But it's like, once again, the reviews were praising this plot and stuff.
Yeah.
Is it going to be the most simplistic murder thing, or is it going to expand into a more galactic scale conflict kind of thing? Because if it's just a mystery, like a murder mystery thing, why would they have a Sith or a dark side Force user being like, just like, oh, yeah, I've just come to kill one Jedi kind of thing, and now I'm dipping. Whoops, my bad. I accidentally exposed myself. Like, unless it's as part of a grand scheme kind of thing.
It might be, but also I feel like from other reviews I've seen, it's saying that like this story focuses on what it means to be a Force user, and maybe the fact that there won't be any villain carrying over into the greater Star Wars storyline, it at least sets into motion the beliefs of someone like Qui-Gon, who has certainly got different views on the Jedi and the Force than what the traditional or standard Jedi morals are. So I'm interested to see how those sort of concepts carry over rather than characters. Because again, 100 years before Phantom Menace, one, if maybe two linking characters to the prequels being Yoda and apparently Plo Koon. Maybe
that background,
that background shot, we'll see. But I don't think that we don't see any of these other characters in the prequels and ongoing. So obviously their fate is undetermined, or they just are sidelined. Obviously, there's dangers of doing prequels, but
100%,
Anyway, so I'm very curious to see how this series handles all of it. It's got a lot of weight on its shoulders, and if it pulls it off, then I think it's going to be up there with one of the best series. I said that in my 2024 predictions that Acolyte would be the best series in a while. So I'm really hoping that it lives up to that. I'm so excited. I cannot understate or overstate my excitement. I'm just cannot wait.
Have you seen recently George Lucas on the panel for some film festival? Thing? Did you hear what he said about the Force?
I did. I kind of did.
Okay, so I'm not going to go into that for people. This is not about George Lucas. I mean, well, the whole thing's about George Lucas technically, but he said recently on like this kind of open panel interview kind of thing with this person that when that he had an idea of what the Force is, and I'll talk about why I'm mentioning this story now, but after, he said he has an idea of what the Force is, and no one else really does, and that's obviously quite centralized onto him, but he's the one who created it. And he said after he's gave the rights to another company, like the company, he didn't say Disney, obviously. He gave the company to Disney. They had all the ideas and plans of what he interpreted the Force to be. And then apparently he didn't even, and then after that, he really didn't say like, they just scrapped or anything. He goes, well, things change and people have different ideas, I guess. And so it's kind of like, well, they kind of just wrote it off and was like, yeah, we're going to have our own interpretation of what the Force is and everything. And Leslie Handlin, who is the showrunner for this, she did literally come out and said that this is her or their interpretation of what they think the Force is, which doesn't agree in lines with George Lucas. So now that makes me wonder why he came out and basically said this now at the same time. It's like, did he hear that and was like, they're changing my idea of the Force and I can't do anything about it. And it's like, we don't know if that's for better or worse. I'm not going to be the one to just be like, because it's not George's idea, it's not good. Yes, he was the one that created it, but in any other franchise too, like, you're going to compare what Stan Lee did in the comics for Marvel and stuff, but other writers also did amazing stuff with his own characters and other characters too. So it's like, well, you can't just instantly, write it off. Like, you give him a chance. However, it is a bit. I am skeptical because it's like the Force is we haven't really learnt much about what it actually is. Everyone has their own, like, it's a spiritual thing. It's a thing that's in every single person. Some think it's only in certain people who are born with it, kind of like a mutant thing, or it's just heightened in these Force users. And and they're going to develop. And in the story, it's like they're going to kind of explore, I guess, what makes like a Force user good or bad kind of thing. Like, what determines that in that sense? Some people think, like what Yoda was trying to say in the prequels, I guess, that it's like a cheat. It's like that's what George Lucas was trying to say too. It's like a cheap way of getting power fast, and then turns you kind of a bad person in that sense. So it's like that kind of luring kind of thing, which is always kind of have been, which everyone gets turned to the dark side and everything. But it's like everyone kind of stays at like everyone has the Force, but having the Force doesn't make you just a Jedi or a Sith immediately. It's for your actions that you take into it, kind of thing. So I'm not sure how they're going to portray it in the show, or if they're going to retcon it, or if they're going to talk about midichlorians even. I have no idea. So, yeah.
Well, I think back to Ahsoka last year, and Ahsoka herself had some interesting things to say about the Force when talking to Sabine about it. And it was along the lines of everyone has the Force, like what you were saying, but it takes like skill and focus and training to be able to use it. So I think we're kind of getting different perspectives on how to use the Force, because I don't know if George would have said that about the Force, like that it's in it might be in everyone, but it takes skill and training.
I don't believe in that, right? I believe that it could be in everyone, but skill and training, I'm like, oh, so you're saying that all these other people in the galaxy are just really lazy?
Yeah,
and they've never even tried to like. I'm like, surely everyone in the galaxy, if you saw Force users, I'm like, oh, let me just try some.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, come on, like, and that's what really bugged me about that Ahsoka show with Sabine getting Force powers and everything. Like, yes, like obviously we did a season 1 of Rebels revisiting, and even in that season, I know it's only the first season, but they didn't mention anything or really indicated anything. And I reckon I'm gonna be kind of like that throughout the whole rewatch of that show too. So it's like, I don't know why they chose to do that, and I don't know if they did that too to enhance this show also, in the sense that everyone has a Force, just some people are stronger with it, or their training or discipline or their teachings. I don't know. It's just something that is a topic that I think is never going to be one definitive answer, and I think that's could be a good thing or a bad thing, because it might start more discourse, like what we're already doing now, talking about it, creates more discussion. What's your interpretation of the Force? Because it's like something that you can't pin, like it's something that doesn't have one definitive thing. But I really would like to see George's official kind of thing, because even he in the prequels didn't really say it's this is the Force and that's it. He never really did that. He was indicating at stuff, the midichlorian levels, about how he's higher than Yoda on the midichlorians. Like, we don't even really know what midichlorians are, aside from like kind of cells in the Force that you can take readings out of to see what power level you are on a scale kind of system. So it's something like that, but it's like, I don't know what they're going to do in the show about that. If it's going to be in relation to kind of the younglings or the Jedi training, they might do some extensive development of that, because we haven't really... It would be good if this show does also go in depth about all the other extra stuff in the Jedi Temple, rather than just the council room and the Padawan training room. Seeing other bits and functions of the temple, maybe like where the headquarters, where they sleep, stay, training quarters would be cool to see again, like something like that. Similar to what we got in Tales of the Jedi with Ahsoka training in there. Something like that would just be cool. Little nods and things that we haven't seen before would be cool.
Yeah, well, it'd be interesting to see how the Acolyte handles the Force. I think even if it's not the perfect or the perfect sort of description of it, at least it'll be a unique take.
It's trying something.
And it's trying something different. And that's kind of the whole of the summary of the show. It's trying something different. It's taking a lot of risks, but if it's really as good as these critics are saying, and as good as it looks from what we're seeing in the trailer, then I see no way that this can't get a season 2 or even more production around this time period, just because like it's like Andor got a season 2 first of all because the story wasn't finished, but also because it was a brilliant production.
That is true.
And that's why you look at Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, they don't get it, because they might have been received well, but they weren't good stories. Okay. And The Acolyte, there are rumors that there's been a season 2 approved. We don't know that officially. So,
well, yeah.
Have to wait and see.
I still think my final really thought about this, and I could be proven wrong. I could be proven wrong indeed. Why did they decide to still go with the TV show introducing a new time period of Star Wars? Like, why? They actually started with books. Technically,
did,
the High
they did.
Republic started with books.
Which is fair, that's fine.
Fine, but that also marginalizes the audience quite a bit because
Correct.
not everyone reads Star Wars novels, right?
Correct. Yep.
And I have so many to our left here that one day we'll go through all our Star Wars collection books and everything.
Yep.
I haven't read half of them. I've read like maybe the first one and a bit of one of the other ones, and that's really it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, even still, I'm not that educated in the High Republic era. So this could be the gateway that they're trying to do to make people go back to read the books, or just introduce it to people who haven't even touched the books at all. But it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I am skeptical. However, I am one of these people who I think everyone should be, in the sense that even if you are kind of skeptical about the show like me, you should still give it a chance.
Yeah,
There's no point ragging on it before you even get to watch it. And if it's well deserved criticism, go for it when it comes out. Why not? Everyone has their right to say their opinion.
Yep.
Just, I think it's a bit unfair to treat a show poorly before it even comes out, and even to praise the show before it comes out. Like, you can't really do that. Like, even with Andor, everyone was saying how all reviews was good too, and I was still a bit like, oh, okay, I'll wait and see who wanted a show about Andor, and well, I got proved wrong. So there you go. I mean, it really wasn't about Andor anyway. It was about the Rebels. But yeah, in short, I'm still gonna tune in to watch it every week, and by this time next week we would have seen the first two, which is exciting. And we'll get our thoughts out to you guys straight away as much as we can, and let you know how kind of we think of the show in the first two episodes. So,
so we'll be coming at you for the next 7 weeks with Acolyte reactions, reviews, and discussions.
Theories.
Will be all over Instagram as well with our short reviews as well, so that'll be good. So go follow us at Coruscant Nights if you want to see that. And yeah, make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching the podcast, and we'll see you next week for the Acolyte episodes 1 and 2.
See ya,
guys.